One, two, three. Here we go again. Here we go again for another X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
Intruders! Get away! You are not authorized!
You know what? I hereby grant you all authorization. You can stay. Don't listen to Forge. I am your host.
You're crazy! What world did you come from?
Well, I believe I am from Mars and Andre is from Venus or something along those lines. I don't know.
He wrote a book about it.
Yeah, exactly. Skelhorn. And with me, as always, my co-host.
He's not to blame for any of this.
That's mostly true.
You did rope me into this party, that's for sure. But yeah. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, exactly. And what are we doing here? Well, we are reviewing Season 4, Episode 10 of the X-Men animated series, One Man's Worth, Part 2. I hope you joined us last week for Part 1, or else this one might seem a little disjointed. Written by Gary Greenfield, I think a new writer for the series, and directed by Larry Houston. All right. Well, should we get right into it?
Well, what? No foreplay? How are you? How's life?
Oh, well, things are okay.
Yeah.
Waiting for spring. I was getting right into it, and then of course we got this terrible weather today. It's a bit nasty out there. Hopefully we don't lose power. It could happen.
Are you expecting to lose power?
Well, I don't expect, but you know, it's flickered a couple times, so anything could happen.
Oh, really? Do you guys?
Windy.
Yeah, it's windy. Usually when it's the worst out here for that stuff too. Yeah,
but you know, not much I hear. It's not so happy times over at your household these days.
No, it's been a rough couple months. That's for sure. Well, we're getting through it.
That's good, man. Like I always say, kiddies will break your heart.
Yeah, I guess that's the cost of loving anything, is having to be sad when it's gone. But I mean, I'm just mostly.
Don't worry, Andre. I'm never leaving.
I fear that might be true. No, I mean, you know, it's just, did you have to go do this again like 3 months after the last one? It sucks. So, you know, just it sucks. I had a strong talking to the other two cats. I told them that they can't get sick for at least 10 more years. So they seem to understand. But
I think
I told Jaemeel if Lebowski goes, then she might as well just euthanize me too and put me in with him, because I don't want to go on living without that cat.
Oh, Lebowski's a good boy.
Although Klaatu was the original, was the OG, and he was a beautiful, good. He was a good little guy. He was a great cat, and yeah, just sad, man. Just sucks. Anyway, it's all right. It's all part of life. Better to have loved than lost. Yada yada yada.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, it's good. When Jen and I just started watching The Last of Us, and we were just watching the third episode. Have you watched any of it?
No, I think I'll probably get around to it, though. I mean, the reviews have been glowing. Rarely do you see things so universally praised as this seems to be.
Yes, it's very good. We're on the third episode, which each episode's like an hour and 10, 20 minutes long. Like they're like movies, basically. So the third one, I love dearly. It's a great episode. What's his face is in it? Nick Offerman. And it's basically like it's basically like a gay love story. And I was telling Jen, it's like incredibly ballsy for a show, like a big budget, like this is going to be our big game, like new Game of Thrones, big huge show, by HBO, and they're like, we're gonna take a timeout in episode 3 and make you watch a gay romance movie. And it's fucking awesome, and it's heartbreaking, and it's beautiful, and it's
like it was a good episode.
It's the kind of thing you don't really see that often on network television. But I was telling Jen, it's ballsy they did that, because I'm sure they alienated a huge chunk of their audience. But I'm like, fuck those
One
guys.
would hope not.
Well, no, I mean they would alienate the chunk of people that don't want to watch anything that involves, homosexuals. But it's a beautiful love story, man, and it's heartbreaking. Like you can't tell me anybody can watch that episode and understand how love works, and yeah, it's really good. It's heartbreaking. We were just getting to the super sad part, so basically, I thought we'd have time to watch it, and then we're like an hour in the episode. There's still 20 minutes to go, and it's time for me to come do this. So I was like, oh shit. So
sorry for interrupting.
No. I'm happy to do this. I just you get used to shows that are like 40 minutes an hour tops, in modern TV watching. So when you start watching shows that are like, hour 20, hour 30, it's like you're watching a movie essentially, which is cool. If you like it, which I do, I love it dearly, but it's you got to judge your time better, I guess. I'm trying to get ready for wrestling. So I got a big show coming up and
Good.
all that stuff. So just dealing with the aftermath as Klaatu's end was yesterday. So that was, getting ready for that over the weekend and trying to spend time with him and spoil him as much as we could. So now we're, yeah. But anyway, I guess we should get into this, I suppose. So this
Season
is
4, episode 10, One Man's Worth.
What is
any
One
opening
Man's Worth,
thoughts?
Evan? I asked you this before, but I mean, you didn't really give me a clear answer.
Yeah, and what did I say? Like $35 or something like that?
What do you want that man to do, Davan, for $35? Dude, that's not a lot of money.
$35. No, it's not.
Throw him tree fitty. Tree fitty didn't get you into it. We'll give him also tree fitty. Yeah, One Man's Worth.
Coffee for tree fitty anymore.
It's kind of funny that it's sort of, I want to say it's pretentious because this is, as far as cartoons go, this is certainly one of the higher end of artistic merit for this time period, especially. But to posit the question, what is one man's worth, and then choose that man to be Charles Xavier is like saying, what's one man's worth, and then focusing that question on the president of the United States. Like, obviously, the man who created the X-Men and fought Magneto back in the Stop the Shi'ar and fought Apocalypse and Mr. Sinister, and like obviously that man's worth is much more than the average Joe Schmo selling shoes down at the Payless. Like, like it's just sort of funny. It's like one man's worth. One man.
I'd go so far to say Charles Xavier is worth quite a bit more than $35.
I would agree. I would agree, sir. And I think it's a bold claim, but I think I would agree. If you posit $35 per human's life, he saved the world a few times. So, he's gotten, at this point, it would have been what?
So he's in the billions of dollars.
Well, more, because at this point, it would have been 6 billion people. And if you times that by $35,
yeah,
that's only one time. Yeah. That's $210 billion. So, assuming he did that 2 to 3 times already in the series, he's on upwards of $630 billion. Mr. Xavier's life is worth.
Well, there's really only a few people on Earth that could even afford Charles Xavier.
It's true. That's getting up there. That's in the
not a very large marketplace.
That's in the Musk and Bezos money. But episode picks up right off. Oh no! Before I'm not even going to start. Give me the bit last time. Come on.
Oh yes, we should do that, shouldn't we? It's probably a really good one.
Previously on X-Men.
It actually applies this time.
Oh, you remember?
Well, I think sometimes in 2-part episodes, you should play the actual last time on X-Men, because then it actually does apply to what's going on. Like this one actually did go through. It's okay, but this one did go through.
Take it into consideration.
Well, it might be worth thinking. In the other episodes, it doesn't matter because they're usually disjointed. But in the ones that are parted, perhaps it might be time to go. I
gotta say though, opening thoughts on this one is this show really excels at 2-parters. The 2-parters have all been pretty great.
Well, because you have more time to sit with the concept and explore it instead of just bombing through it so fast that you don't get a chance to really explore the theme or get to know what's happening more so than with this. So.
They choose threads from a lot of the more notable stories for those as well.
They do, because they can, You know what would have been a fun one they never did in the show? I guess it because it was like
There's still time.
That is true. But I guess it's because it was like and it would have been good when like Spider-Man was going and maybe the Iron Man cartoon and maybe the Hulk cartoon, which I think were all around at the same time.
Fantastic Four was there too.
Right. So if they had capped all of them together, because I know like Spider-Man did do the Secret Wars, which did combine a bunch of these characters. But if
Storm, I think, was the only X-Men, right?
I believe so. But if they'd done the Acts of Vengeance storyline, that would have been neat and ran it across all the different series where all the villains swap heroes.
Oh,
like,
I love that story.
You know, Dr. Doom's like, all right, I'll go take on the X-Men for you. And Magneto's like, all right, I'll go take on the Fantastic Four. And, you know, and everybody, Spider-Man gets cosmic powers and is fighting like ridiculously highly powered villains. It was great.
That would never work on the X-Men. I mean, they've fought everything. You can't really sneak up on the X-Men with your
not really, no. But you know, maybe Magneto would or Dr. Doom would approach it in a way that Magneto never did. Dr. Doom does have
Doom. That's a good point. He's smarter. Oh my God, no! Why? That wasn't going.
Somebody didn't get a new soundboard, did they?
No, I didn't. But I've been working with it all day. Maybe it's the way it interacts with my mixer.
I don't know, buddy, but I appreciate the effort. You're really trying out there, and I like it. But anyway, we pick up right off where we were, which is the explosion happening.
Fitzroy planted a bomb. Xavier never had a chance.
There's
a great storm in this one.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, the one where the Rocco and Moose show up, and she says, "Okay, let me get to him before you fight."
Hippies.
Oh my God,
that was from last episode.
Glitching all over the place.
So the X-Men run off. They see the explosion in Xavier's building. They run off to try to stop him, but then the explosion continues on and blows up the entire building, indicating that there's no saving of Xavier and that they failed in their mission.
Here we go. Here's what I was looking for.
Moose, Rocco, get him.
They come back in this episode. If you would have told me anyone from that previous episode was going to come back in this one, Moose and Rocco would not have been high on the list. They would have been pretty low. The idea, and even the guy that owned that diner would come back is surprising. So as they get close to the building, it fully explodes and knocks them all back, and they realize that Fitzroy. Every time I say Fitzroy, I want to say Kilroy, which just makes me think of Mr. Roboto. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo. I'm Kilroy. You remember that song? Kilroy.
Whirlwind from the heavens, engulf these misguided souls.
Way ahead of me. But still, that's the right line. Way ahead of me.
Throwing out a Stormism there because Storm is great.
Well, she had a good one right there where she realized that they couldn't save Xavier. But basically, Bishop's reeling with the idea that he's failed in his mission, that there's no stopping it now. And he blames Wolverine because he thinks Wolverine, was too headstrong and caused this to happen, basically. But during that, when they're arguing, the police show up, which are led by the guy that owned the diner. And he's got like that, like when you watch, when you watch like those old-timey cartoons and they try to draw a bum, or like those old, almost like Al Jolson blackface sort of things where they have like the bum.
Oh my God.
Well, no, but like the way they paint people and like as hobos with that like paint it on bottom beard thing. This guy really looks like that. Like it's like a painted on like hobo beard and some kind of a silent like Charlie Chaplin. Yeah, it doesn't look like a real. Like it looks very strange. But anyway, the diner runs up saying that those are the guys that messed up his joint. And basically sends the cops and Rocco and Moose who came along to help rough up these mutants. They all got little billy clubs. Basically, Bishop's going to blow them away, but then Storm uses her abilities to call the whirlwind to get in and just leaves them spinning in a top for a while they figure out what they're going to do next. Whirlwind
from the heavens, engulf these misguided souls.
Considering they were, she's very nice to them. Considering the reason they disliked her earlier was only because she's black and was holding hands with a white man, and that's what made all these people hate them. Not the fact they're mutants, because the mutants aren't even really a thing at this point. But that's what angered these people, and she's still that kind to them, which I don't think I'd be that kind to them. And I'm like not even someone that's would be racially prejudiced against. Like, she is incredibly kind to them, considering she was the target of their ridiculous prejudice.
Good point.
Basically, with the being fitted with the idea that they can't, that they think they failed. Logan wants, it's a good scene. Logan wants them to send him and Storm back to his time. They said it wasn't so bad working with Magneto, and they don't even know the Xavier guy. But, they'd rather go back to that world. But then Storm says that they can't. They have to go and they have to help these people. And basically their plan is to go back to the future and have Back to the Future and have Forge send them further back than where they messed up and stop Fitzroy from planting that bomb and making all this happen. So they get little armbands too, which is given to them by, or actually they still had, I guess, from last time. But then they all decide to go back to the future. When they go forward, they man, that guy's beard is so bad looking. It's like super thick lines. It looks like someone drew a beard on a baby. So anyway, they go back to the future to find Forge and reset their plan. Basically, when they do, the whirlwind drops all the haters and the cops there. We jump to the alternate future of 2055. And we see them get dumped out of the time machine. Basically, then they're approached by Forge, who is even more robotic. He almost looks like Mendel Strom. Yeah, he looks like Mendel Strom, the Robot Master, the Spider-Man villain. Very similar to that character. He was later called
Silvermane. You mean Silvermane?
No, Gaunt. Oh, don't you question my Spider-Man villain knowledge?
Silvermane too. Really, he's got.
Silvermane did have a similar appearance, but Mendel Strom, who was an assistant of Norman Osborn, replaced a bunch of his body parts with robot parts, and at one point his whole consciousness was online. In the 90s, during the Clone Saga, they changed his character name to Gaunt, Gaunt. To try to make him cooler, I guess, but he was much better as the Robot Master.
It's cooler to be Gaunt.
Well, the 90s, everyone had to have shoulder pads, extra pockets, straps everywhere, and they had to have cooler names like Murder, Stab, or like Deadpool. Basically, Image started it, and not to shit on them because it was unique and it was different. But we got the Wildcats and the what was the other team that came out of that group? Brigade and all those guys, Bloodstrike and all these everything was just all dark and gritty and tragic and stripy and a lot of strappy.
You need to carry all your 90s cool.
Yeah, you had to carry all your knives and your ammo for all the big guns you're suddenly carrying for some reason. Dude. All of a sudden, characters started showing up in Spider-Man like Solo, who was the Punisher but could teleport and just had massive shoulder pads. His own book and guns.
There was a Solo series.
He's still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
The Resistance is people.
Actually, Scourge may have killed Solo.
Solo wasn't a heel though, or a bad guy in the world. I do remember Scourge. He killed other villains. But it basically, so this almost fully robotic Forge. Is totally surprised by their appearance. Doesn't remember them at all. Oh, hello, kitty cat. That's not Millie. Which one's that one again?
It's Miles.
What a good kitty.
Oh yeah, he's the cat who moves into the neighbors' houses and stuff.
Yeah, you live with the neighbors. He's a smart kitty. He's getting food from all parts.
Sure is. Very good, buddy.
So he goes to set the alarm to bring the Sentinels in because he basically Mastermold runs everything down this world, and Forge is one of his agents working on time travel for him. They haven't even tested this.
The Resistance is people.
Yes, it is. That's the second time that was played. Do we have a point we want to make about Resistance and people?
No, I was going to say Soylent Green is also people.
That's
but
true.
Now we also know that Bishop isn't from the Soylent Green future.
So are you positing that the Charlton Heston film Soylent Green that you featured on your show a couple episodes ago that I listened to is a potential alternate Earth in this time in the Marvel universe?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
interesting. So basically, Mastermold runs this world. Forge is a slave to him, and he doesn't understand.
I have never seen any of you before.
I don't know why, but Forge's voice is so funny to me. It's like a half like native, like ancient, like white, like native medicine man character, like stereotypical one, half like action hero. It's like a weird combination. I don't know why you're bothering me. Like it's just very strange. I like it, but it's very strange.
It always throws me off for a sec too, and then I get used to it.
He sounds so wise, but also he's like this jacked like guy with guns and stuff. So
he screws up a lot in this show. For like he never like when he was running X Factor, he couldn't beat the X-Men like he was.
Well, we only saw him young Forge once. It's always been old Forge. True. It's just like, oh, the timeline's still fucked up. You got to go back again. Just like Bishop, like to use probably a more intellectual term than we need to in this show. Bishop is the eternal Sisyphus, just rolling this boulder uphill all for eternity. Like no matter what he does, he's supposed to go start over again. It's never right. So
we already have had a two-parter of him doing it, and then
we've had a couple of them now. This is the third two-parter with him going back to the past, trying to fix stuff. Yeah, the previous
one of them might have been Cable.
He was with Cable. The two of them were both trying to stop. Yeah. Cable's future was fucking up his. Yes, Cable's changing of the future was fucking up his future. Which is also fun. That they had to go back to the X-Men times and fix everything there.
Okay.
So,
come on, old man. Who could scare you worse than I can?
That's true. So basically, what they're going to do is get the machine going so they can go back and stop it. Forge isn't happy to allow them to do that. But then basically the rest of the Sentinels, who I guess I could bring up as a point here later, because these are a different version of the Sentinels. They're like green and white and kind of like the new future Mastermold, high like Empire Sentinels.
You might have the same point. Interesting.
Who are referred by a different name, which I'm sure you're going to bring up later too, which is a name that's been used quite a bit in the Marvel Universe, but we can share that point or at least both talk about it. So basically, the X-Men, as we see them, or rather I'm going to refer to them as the X-Men, but Bishop and Shard are with them, start battling all these Sentinels. But basically, the Sentinels, Mastermold comes to realize that the Sentinels are ready to kill him as well, because Mastermold wants to stop at all costs the X-Men going back in time. So killing Forge would help that as well. Realizing his life is of no worth to Mastermold, he has a change of heart, which people have to do in this show. They do it twice in this episode, where he realizes that these X-Men are actually trying to help. So he decides. I like
this one a lot though, because it was written in to make it so much sense why you would do it.
It does. It makes less sense later, but still it's the exact same. Like they use this idea twice in the same episode. But basically, there's a great shot where Bishop shoots one of these Sentinels straight up the middle, so it splits it in half, which is pretty cool.
They take him out pretty easily.
There's some pretty great little Sentinel destruction scenes in this episode, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this animation is the B team. It may be the A team again, but if it is the B team,
this is the B team. I was feeling that.
But some of it is quite good. Like the use of shadow and stuff is quite good. So this is the B team.
Is still pretty good though. It's like the C team that comes next season.
Okay. Well, this B team is pretty solid. They do some great work in this episode. So
B team is just the one who had to like redo long shot and stuff. Like they messed up a few times and had to fix it.
So while the X-Men are fighting these, the Sentinels are trying to work their way back to the machine, we cut Mastermold, who's getting updates with what's going on, who's with Fitzroy and Bantam. Fitzroy and Bantam, of course.
Smoothly. Because of what I've accomplished, you are now the undisputed ruler of the world.
Which is funny, because if I send you back in time to kill someone to make me an emperor, you come back in time and I've been an emperor my whole life now, and I have no idea why this guy that would have stopped my rise to power died. I don't even know who that guy is. Like, you show up and go, hey, I'm the reason you're an emperor. I'd be like, no, you're not. Why would I believe this? Like, because I have no recollection.
You think you should try that, though, now?
Yeah, well, maybe. Do you want to go back in time and kill my enemies and make me I don't think I have any enemies that would have stopped me.
We don't even have to. We could just go to, like, say, like, Joe Biden or something and be like, hey, Joe, remember how we went back in time and made it so you were president?
Yeah, I don't think we get anywhere near the ability to do that. But yeah, it's an interesting idea. So basically, Mastermold has shown evidence by Fitzroy that he had done what Mastermold had told him to, because he recorded their conversation before. Mastermold gets word that the X-Men are, trying to undo what is done. So he sends Fitzroy and Bantam off to try to stop them with some Sentinels, and Nimrod hangs back. He calls, it's like the worst. So he's like, Fitzroy, Bantam, go stop these guys, and then they take off, and then he goes, Nimrod, wait, I have more things for you. Now, number one, they're computers. So why would you have to audibly say to the computer its function? You could probably just.
Do you think they're on the same network?
Program it, or you know what I mean? Like, to not have like it. Robotics would make things so much more efficient because you wouldn't need to have conversations with people to tell them what you want. You could just download.
You just email it.
Yeah, exactly. Just download his new parameters and over and off and do it. But anyway, he's like, Nimrod.
It could be that like something like Nimrod has so many security features, which it would, that like they wouldn't even allow such a communication.
He's like, Nimrod, you stay behind. And then like Fitzroy and Bantam go on the other side of the door, and then he's like, after that,
could 4 measly mutants do?
He's like, after you destroy those mutants, kill Fitzroy and Bantam. We want no more mutants in this future. They're no more use to us. And then Fitzroy and Bantam are listening behind the door. They're like, oh, like
I got that.
I will avoid mutants, even those useful as slaves. After they've destroyed the time machine, eliminate Fitzroy and Bantam.
I told you.
Like he waited 2 seconds at best after they left that room to start saying very loudly that,
oh yes, very loudly, very, very loudly. So I can breeze through most of what happens after this pretty quickly. The assault on them,
fighting.
The assault on them continues. There's a bunch more fighting. Fitzroy shows up and ends up helping them because he knows that what he did in the past isn't going to give him a future as a king like he expected. So he gives them video or some kind of evidence of what his plan was to show himself in the past, and then helps them fend off the Sentinels where they get the machine working. It takes, I guess, evil. He's not evil really, but alternate future Forge to a while to get the machine going. So it was damaged during the initial fight. But while that's happening, basically a couple of them get hurt. Like Shard gets hurt.
If we wanted to hurt you, we would have done it already. So are you coming
way
quietly,
in the future,
or do you want to make some noise?
He didn't even get close to that yet. He says that to Xavier.
Oh.
That's all right.
You said hurt, and my clip was called hurt. I'm like, ooh, I nailed it.
Ooh, nailed it. So Forge gets severely hurt, and Shard gets hurt too, but they can't go back for them, so they have a limited window to get in the window. So Bishop goes off with Storm and Wolverine to the past to try to, before Xavier gets blown up, to try to stop that from happening. Realizing that if they succeed, Shard and Forge won't be in danger because they would have changed the timeline.
Shard makes that point. Yeah, she's just like, "Don't worry, it's all good."
If they succeed.
The mission. Yeah.
And we do see Nimrod essentially going for the killing blow, so we don't really get to see what happens there because I'm guessing he either succeeds or doesn't, depending. Well, I mean, if he does kill them, then it's undone shortly after. If time stops him from doing that before he gets to do that, whatever. Some interesting stuff with the time travel angle on this. So they get to the past, basically, and I have a point about something I didn't notice in the first episode in the past, which you might have noticed as well. But basically, all the same stuff happens in the bar with the X-Men. When Xavier leaves the bar or the diner when that's going on, he runs into this version of those X-Men, who explain basically what's going on. Very similar to the last episode where they read their minds to get the full story. And then at his apartment, they're waiting for Fitzroy to show up to try to blow up Xavier so they can stop him and prevent this future. Fitzroy shows up.
I'm blown up here in this lab?
Before Fitzroy can show up
out of this lab right now.
Yeah, so it's like we gotta stop Xavier from getting blown up in this lab. So let's take him to that lab and just chill for a while until the other guys show up with the bomb. Like why not just put him? Why not wait for Fitzroy and put Xavier somewhere else out of danger? Anyway, so one of Xavier's school chums shows up to find out what's going on. She's checking on him or just come to see him, and then sees all his weird new friends. So then basically Wolverine smells that it's Nimrod, and they get in a big fight with Nimrod, and they keep dismantling him, but he keeps reforming because he's Nimrod. But Bishop, similarly to how he dealt with Nimrod the first time he went back to the past, shoots off his armband, and Nimrod, as he's blown apart, his parts go back to the future because the armband's the only thing keeping him in the past. So after this happens, Fitzroy and Bantam show up. I love Bantam. Bantam's like pretty jacked for a little short dude. Like the way they draw him, he's pretty shredded. He's got this fat little head.
Does not wish your mission to succeed.
Oh yes, so that's something when Charles is reading their minds to corroborate their stories. He can sense that Wolverine doesn't want this mission to succeed.
I feel the way I feel, Pub. That don't mean I'd turn traitor.
Which is sweet. Like this.
That is sweet. That is a sweet moment.
More length, but this is the best romance in this whole series. The Storm.
It's a shame it's only short-lived.
Yeah.
But Fitzroy shows up, puts a teleport, like some kind of a stasis field around them so they can't escape, throws the bomb in. They basically play a video for him of himself, which is funny because it's just a video of himself saying, hey, it's me, it's you from the future. Don't do this because Mastermold is going to fuck us up. Like, stop now. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he stops. He stops the bomb and then wipes Xavier's memory of what's going on and then disappears with Bantam back to the future. So, like, he didn't even say, like, hey, her mother's maiden name was, like, you know, McDonald or anything like that. Like anything that Fitzroy would have known that this wasn't just anybody or another shape changer or somebody saying this. You know, like it could, you know, with even face stealing technology now, I can make a video of you saying pretty much anything and be pretty believable. You know, you think you would 90s, give him some
though, when you weren't used to seeing copies of yourself in the 90s. You believe it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
The 90s, Andre would have saw a hologram of you. You'd have been like, oh my God, it's me from the future. What else could it be?
That is possible.
Let's see what you had for breakfast.
It's a long way from the Tupac hologram that, you know, dazzled the world.
You dazzle the world?
Do not kill Xavier. If you do, Mastermold will become all-powerful.
All-powerful.
Moose, Rocco, get him.
We do not see Moose and Rocco anymore beyond the first few minutes of this episode. So, yeah, and there's a point in the fight where Fitzroy is actually, they confirm with Fitzroy that there are other versions because Fitzroy can see the other X-Men coming to the building to try to stop the explosion from before. So basically, Fitzroy agrees to dismantles the bomb, moves back to his future, but first wipes Charles's memory, which, like, Fitzroy's powers seem to be powers of convenience. He can time travel when needed, and he can also wipe memories when needed. So
that one I don't quite get. In the
they didn't really say that he was wiping his memory. He just said you'll be
time.
okay. He just said you'll be okay tomorrow, and they didn't even say he was wiping his memory. But I kind of figured that.
Like maybe he could put Xavier's brain back in time to before any of this happened.
That is actually the strongest made-up reason that I could think of for what he was doing. That may work.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, that could work. I guess if he can isolate time travel to specific areas. But yeah. So anyway, before Bishop heads back to the future, he Storm and Wolverine are still haven't disappeared yet because of their bracelets. Let them be paradoxes, basically. So, which is funny because I'm watching the Umbrella Academy right now, which is dealing with the grandfather paradox and some of that stuff. And there's also a room where you can stand inside and paradoxes can coexist without damage to the timeline. So, yeah. So they basically Storm and Wolverine have a final kiss and then deactivate their things. So they said only lasts for a couple days if they let it go, which is, you think they would have spent a couple days together at least. Go do some stuff, you know, in crazy racist southern United States. Just gonna have a nice day together. Maybe kill some fucking clan members or something.
Wolverine be all for that.
But anyway, they have a final moment together, and then we see some flashes of their life together in battle and their tender moments. Then they activate their bracelets, and we cut back to basically the Wolverine and Storm.
Hold on, don't yada yada over that.
I'm not yada yada.
It was good, darling.
It was the best, tough guy.
Very, very cute. And then they the timeline shifts, and then we see Wolverine back with Storm at the original picnic, where they make a few little jabs at each other, indicating that there may be some emotion there. She says to Wolverine,
"Thanks for the tumble, Storm. We ought to wrestle more often."
Now, Logan, some women might think that you were flirting.
Lucky you know me better than that.
It's great, because everything is proportioned as it should be. Like they're flirting and everything, and she's like a foot taller than him. And
yeah,
it's just awesome.
It's pretty great. Honestly, I would love to ship these characters together. I mean, I guess I don't have to ship them once they were together in this episode, but I would like to continue
and in the comics.
In the comics briefly as well, yeah. So
yeah.
I always find it funny when they have this big romance. One character dies, then one is tormented. And then when that character finally comes back to life, they don't pick it up again. It's like, well, I already grieved your death. We're not getting that deal. But anyway, so yeah. So then, and there's even like a weirdly stupid coda where Xavier's like touched his head while watching them have this.
We will never know.
It comes out of nowhere. I don't even know what he's referring to.
It doesn't make any reference.
Never know.
He doesn't even remember what happened. Like, it's so stupid. But anyway, aside from, I can forgive all that because it's a pretty great episode. So
yeah,
that's the episode.
This is a great episode up until like the last word.
Yeah, they're gonna cut out the last sentence.
Like, what?
I would have been much happier.
No. Maybe I just don't get it. But
what does it mean? What does it mean?
What does it all mean, Basil?
What does it all mean, Basil? Whoop-de-doo. What does it all mean?
Exposition. Check him out on Logan's Run.
Moose Rocco.
Also on
that actor's in that. I can't remember his name. It's David something, but he's cool.
Michael Park.
What's his name? Michael Park?
Michael Park.
No, Michael Park's the actor from. He's in Tarantino movies. He plays that sheriff.
Oh yeah.
He's in that walrus movie where he made a guy into a walrus. He's in Red State, which is probably Kevin Smith's best movie. Good actor.
Well, I guess now it's time to.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Let's look into our own hearts and decide. I decide this is 10. This is a 10 and 10 two-parter.
I don't know if I can give it a 10. I did like it, but like the last one's a much stronger episode.
I liked the last one better too, but this one gets a 10 for me.
I get okay. Look, yeah, I'm gonna look at it.
Stuff is so good.
I'm gonna look at it as one full episode between the last one and this one, and I'd say that's on that merit alone, it's worth a 10. So we'll keep it copacetic, and we'll go with the 10.
I loved it. The Wolverine Storm stuff.
Oh yeah, no, I love that stuff too. And Wolverine, seeing like badass Future been fighting the wars longer than our current Wolverine is pretty great. So, or actually, I guess he's not even older,
but it wasn't that kind of story.
No, it was good.
I do agree the last one was better, but
yes,
they're both 10s. Like they're both great. Yeah, I mean, I could have given the last one an 11 maybe because it might have been the best episode of this series so far. One of them.
Oh yeah, it's money. Money.
What is one man's worth? What is this two-parter's worth? You might ask. 10. That's how much. 2 10s, so 20.
Very 20. Nice.
Well, let's get into a few X points. Oh, I suppose I should do that, shouldn't I? There we go. Anyway, don't mind. And Kenny X points. Go ahead, Andre. We know what you're going to talk about.
Oh, the Enforcers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an old version of the Sentinels from the future timeline. They're referred to as the Enforcers. I don't believe they're called that in the episode, but they are that version of them. There's been many versions of the Enforcers in Marvel Comics over the years, not just ones that were Sentinels. Spider-Man had a group of.
Never called them in the episode.
Did they call the Enforcers in it?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't put together that it was the name of the group. I thought it's just like those are our enforcers kind of thing, but it makes sense. Because Spider-Man's fought a group of called the Enforcers. That was Fancy Dan. There you go. Ox and Montana. Fancy Dan is by far the best name.
He's the coolest character among them too.
But then there was even later on when they did that storyline where Spider-Man got that cool silver spider armor. They had a group called the New Enforcers, which were like 100 villains made up of a ridiculous amount of them, including Dragon Man, the Eel, the Vanisher. There's a bunch of villains in that group.
Oh, remember from a few episodes ago, Chet?
Yeah,
that could have been Montana.
Oh yeah, 100%. Actually, Rocco or Moose. Actually, Moose I think could have been Montana.
Even Ox.
It's very similar. Or Ox, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So that was one of my points.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the Enforcers too, but you can have that one. All right, moving on. So, Xavier goes to Bard College. There's a sign that says Bard College there when they go to meet Xavier, and that's in upstate New York, I believe. So right around
Makes
there.
sense.
I wonder if it's even like an expanded X-Men future past version of Bard College that even extends to the Xavier grounds or something. Who knows?
Could be.
Who knows?
Could be.
Bard College, getting a good education there. That Charles Xavier.
My next point, so point number 2 for me, is I didn't notice this in the first episode. Maybe they didn't show it, but the name of the diner that they are all the insanity happens is called Rip Van Winkle's Diner. Rip Van Winkle is an American short story we watched in Irving that involves time travel. So it's a very old school 1800 story about a guy that accidentally travels through time. So it's a fun little nod to time travel storylines.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yep.
Good nod. This is a smart episode. There's a lot of good stuff. All right, what do I got? Terminator 2. There's just Terminator 2 all over this two-parter.
Oh yeah,
but especially this one.
I thought about suggesting for my movie pick doing one of those, but it's too obvious. So I didn't bother.
Yeah, well, I mean, he goes full T-1000 Nimrod. They shatter him, and he comes back together. I mean, he's basically his T-1000 Nimrod, except that they can copy powers, and they don't really show T-1000 and that sort of thing. But he can copy his look just like T-1000, like he was pretending to be Cindy. So, yeah. I mean, who doesn't? Maybe that's why I love it too. I love those first two Terminator movies, especially Terminator 2.
I actually think Terminator 3 wasn't that bad. I liked the TX wasn't fantastic, but the idea of how it wraps into the apocalypse I kind of liked. So it wasn't that bad. It certainly was nowhere near as good as 1 and 2, but it's not that bad. All right, my next point. Forge's alternate reality look in this is almost exactly his Age of Apocalypse costume. So that was another Age of Apocalypse nod to what they were doing with the costumes in this.
Green cybernetics.
Yeah, something along those lines. It's almost exactly the same costume.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, my next point number 3, I believe, is bantam. The word bantam. The word bantam refers to any of numerous small domestic fowls that are often miniatures of members of their standard breeds. And, bantam.
Just Googling random words.
Also, bantam, a person of diminutive stature and often combative disposition.
Yeah, have you ever played sports as a kid? Yeah,
there's bantam leagues.
There's bantam leagues. That was baseball. Was bantam league.
Before that was midget, but I doubt they call it that. Maybe they do.
They did call it that, but I don't know if they do anymore. My next point, the name Nimrod. I don't know if I've ever brought this up before, but the term Nimrod, the name Nimrod is actually from a great hunter of Greek mythology, who is where the name came from, which makes sense as to why this character is called that, because he is like a great tracker and hunter. We use the word to refer to sort of idiots now because of the Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny is to blame because in those cartoons with Elmer Fudd, he would call him Nimrod in a jesting way because he's such a terrible hunter. It's sarcasm. But people didn't understand that and just assumed it sounds like he's calling him an idiot. So the word Nimrod became synonymous.
You maroon.
A moron. So oddly enough, the word shouldn't mean what it kind of does, but Looney Tunes is the reason why we think it means an insult and not a great hunter, as it originally had meant to be used.
Yeah. Bugs Bunny informed pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I taught Pootie Tat just today.
Well, I think we should have taken a left turn in Albuquerque.
Maybe. All right. My next one, Fitzroy. So it's funny in Fitzroy here. I have that.
I'm Fitzroy.
Here we go. There's this one.
What harm could 4 measly mutants do?
What
Yeah, see, he's clearly Australian sounded.
Fitzroy? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. And the Fitzroy River is in Australia.
Oh, there you go. That's fun.
Yeah. Fitzroy River. Big river in Australia. There you have. I believe in Melbourne or somewhere around there. Never been. Never been. Let me know, Australian listeners. Is it a good fishing river? If so, I would like to go. All right. One more point for us, Andre.
My final point. So Mark Strange is the name of the actor that does the voice of Fitzroy in this episode, I believe.
Oh, that sounds familiar, that name.
He's a Canadian actor, obviously, as most people are in the show. But he does the voice of Forge, actually. Sorry, that's why. That's why his voice up. So he shows up in a bunch of stuff. Mostly as a writer. He is a writer, but he's been an actor and a director. Actually, he's been an actor more than a writer. But he did write on The Beachcombers and
oh shit,
and Danger Bay, Street Legal, a bunch of Canadian shows.
Oh, you don't say. We
You
haven't
don't
talked
say.
about Danger Bay or Street Legal on this show before.
I think Street Legal's come up a couple times because some of the actors have shown up on it. Danger Bay, maybe not so much. The Beachcombers
Now
would
we
be another one
definitely
that's
talked about them all.
yeah, 100%. But he has been in television up until 2010, so I'm not sure if he passed away or he retired. But he has been in a lot of stuff. There's, he did voice of Forge in the X-Men Mutant Academy game in 2001. He was on Mythic Warriors.
What game was that? I don't remember that game.
You don't remember that game, Mutant Academy 2? He did, yeah. He also did the voice of Kurt Marco, Kane's father, in those episodes too. But he did have a part in Tommy Boy, the David
was he in
Spade.
Tommy Boy?
He was the toy car executive.
Yeah, God, so many people from. Oh yeah, it all makes sense now because Tommy Boy was filmed in Toronto.
Of course,
I was wondering why so many voice actors on this show were in Tommy Boy.
Oh yeah,
Magneto
he was on
in
ENG. He was on Forever. We should have an award for whenever someone shows up on Forever Night.
Forever Night.
No, we need some kind of like an alarm system to go off whenever we say Forever Night. So many actors from this show up on that show. But then a big slew of Canadian TV shows and stuff from back in the day. So
I didn't watch a lot of Forever Night. I've got a few episodes, but
it's
really
you know what? It's an idea that probably could be mined and reused in today. I think if they were to
is,
redo it, it'd probably be all right. You know, the idea of a vampire cop sounds like it's something that right for television.
They keep remaking things that were already great. Like, so they really need to remake stuff that just are a great concept and could have been better.
Oh yeah, a buddy of mine used to say that all the time. He's like, "Why do we keep remaking good movies? Why don't we remake bad ones and make them good?"
You know what? We should remake The Lion King.
But let's make it real in quotes because none of the characters are real. They're all CGI, so it's just animated in a different way again. Like, I mean, I like the new one, but I don't know why we needed it. The answer is we didn't. But I like the new Aladdin too. But did we need that? Not really. It was all right though. I liked it.
Yeah, original.
I missed the fact that the parrot didn't talk. That bothered me. But aside from that, everything was great.
Gilbert Gottfried. I'm not seeing that movie.
And the villain in the Jafar had a much more sinister bend, and they kind of changed his origin story a little bit to make him almost more similar to Aladdin in that he was a street urchin that came from nowhere but built his way up to being somebody through devious means. But
and then like this kind of highfalutin wizard type.
Yeah, but he, obviously stabbed a lot of people in the back to get to where he was, including Aladdin. But it was all right. And, they gave some more stuff with the genie, and Jasmine got her another song in it. And, it was all right.
Well, that's good. Jasmine was a great singer. Well, my last point is just this is a good combination of stories. They took the comics I recommended last week, the first Fitzroy story, and mixed it with some Age of Apocalypse stuff, and pretty successfully, I think.
Put it in a shaker and mix it up.
Yeah. Good combo, I thought. All right, well, speaking of comics,
Hey, check this out.
All right, well, I'll go first, even though it doesn't tie in to this episode, because I did that last week, and this is a two-parter. But what I didn't talk about, I don't think, on this show yet. And since I recently saw, not too recently, but fairly recently saw Quantumania, AntMan, at least the last Marvel movie I saw. So let's talk about Ant-Man for a moment.
It's the last Marvel movie.
To...
They haven't made one since Ant-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
true enough.
I saw Cocaine Bear. Do you want to talk about that?
Not really.
It actually was kind of fun. I wouldn't say it's fantastic.
Like, did we need Cocaine Bear? Since we're talking about movies that didn't.
Why not? I don't know. Like, what do we need a slasher movie? No, but they're still fun. Do we need Scream 6? Probably not. I saw that too.
No.
It was all right. I mean, a movie that
honestly, I thought they should have stopped at 1 Scream 2 and 3.
Well, I feel like maybe 2, because like the whole thing is poking fun at horror tropes and horror franchises. So if it becomes a franchise, then you can poke fun at that. But now they're kind of gone full circle and they're poking fun at requels, where they bring back some characters but not all the characters, and then some don't show up. And then they try to make new, younger characters the lead characters, or bring back the legacy characters. Like, they bring all that into the meta of the movies. Like, are they great? No. But, like, they're fun. Cocaine Bear knows what it was. It's like it had its tongue firmly planted in its cheek, and it knew that, it was in on the joke, and so were you. So if you just want to watch gory ridiculousness that's kind of fun and entertaining and some humor in between, yeah, it's worth watching. I'd say check it out. I'm not saying it's going to win an Oscar, but if you want a fun movie experience, that I watch a lot of heady, sad
movie experience, like Hold Up, a movie podcast.
I watch a lot of heady, sad, artistic movies, and I love all of them dearly. But every once in a while, it's like you want to eat filet mignon, but sometimes you just want a shitty hamburger. Like, eat the shitty hamburger and enjoy it. That's the way.
Oh my God, Miles, what are you doing?
Does Miles want a shitty hamburger?
He just kicked my keyboard off the desk.
Oh, I did good, kitty. Listen, all cats are good for me right now. They're the best.
Yeah, I know. I love cats too, man. That's why I feel your pain, man. I keep seeing these messages and of your kitty troubles, and I'm like, ah.
Well, I hope it's not going to be any more for a long while, but
Yeah. I pick Irredeemable Ant-Man. This is my favorite version of Ant-Man. So it's like, it's not Hank Pym.
Even though they turned O'Grady into a full-fledged villain later.
Yeah, well, he might as well. That's why he's the Irredeemable Ant-Man. Like,
what do they call him? The Black Ant?
Like, you think of the person at work or school or whatever, and you're just like, oh, that fucking guy. Like, imagine that guy.
Is it the Black Ant? That's what they called him? Oh, and he became a villain, like a full villain? Pretty sure they did, because he teamed up with...
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, he teamed up with Taskmaster, and they had him feature prominently in a Spider-Man story a few times. So
he's a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and it's... Look, as you can see, he's not your usual Ant-Man. He's just clogging the teeth of...
Oh, yeah, they have storylines where he's watching, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents shower and stuff, like...
She-Hulk. He sneaks up on She-Hulk.
Yeah, so the whole point
there's Wolverine in this. Like, this is it's
Robert Kirkman.
It's Robert Kirkman, yep, of zombie fame. Both Marvel and Walking.
I'm surprised they never included a nod to Eric O'Grady in the Marvel universe somewhere. I guess there's still time, but
they haven't done a lot of Shield. That was like because of the Shield show. They seem to be kind of mostly staying away from Shield stuff.
Well, I suppose if they want to continue on and. If Paul Rudd steps away from the role, if they want to carry on and do it in a new, interesting way, they could give it to a guy like Grady and, see him be a dickhead.
I've read the Marvel Zombies and the first trade of Walking Dead, and this is probably my favorite Kirkman story that I've read. I quite like the Irredeemable Ant-Man. It's a lot of fun. It's just just the worst S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Low morals. You got an Ant-Man suit. It's just like, because they don't really explore that so much. Like, that's just a crazy power for somebody to have. And like Scott Lang and Hank Pym, maybe Hank a little, but don't abuse that too much. But like this guy does. He thinks of every horrible thing he can do by turning tiny, and he pretty much does it. So yeah, Eric O'Grady, check him out.
Pretty great.
Irredeemable Ant-Man.
Well, I caught up on Stock Girls. I finished all that, but I did talk about it last week. So I grabbed something else I read recently. So I've often talked about some of these crazy graphic novels I've been finding at the dollar store. Recently, not recently, but what they've recently at the dollar store, which I'm surprised about, is those art books. I didn't bring any in the room with me, but those like
the art of type thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at the dollar store that I've gotten for $5, and these books are all marked on their cover prices being $60 or $75. I've gotten the art book for Pacific Rim Uprising, which
I saw that there. Yeah.
Which actually, like, just to look at the art of the mechs and the kaiju, like, if you didn't like them, I like the movie. It's nowhere near as good as the original, but I had the art book for the original, so it's cool to put it beside it. But it's really like for $5. They have the art book. I got the art book for The Dark Crystal, the new show on Netflix. The sequel series to the prequel series to
I
the
only
movie.
saw the first season, but I liked it.
There is only one season. They never made more.
Yeah, I liked it. It was fine.
So they have the
was
art
a
book
Dark
for that. So
Crystal
you can
guy
see,
when I was a kid.
well, you can see all the artwork and all the work that goes into the design of the creatures, the monsters. They had the Aquaman art book from the Jason Momoa movie. Whether you like that movie or not, it's still cool seeing all the Black Manta costume stuff, because I did love how they did that costume and all the trench
cool
and all the
look,
cool.
the
Like,
Black
just
Manta
looking at all the production stuff is amazing. They had the Kung Fu Panda one. I did not pick that up because I didn't care that much about that one. But they did today. I got the one for The Missing Link, the claymation movie with the Bigfoot, and Hugh Jackman was in with Zach Galifianakis, the one about the explorer that finds Bigfoot. It's like
I've never heard of it.
Stop motion animation. It came out a few years ago. I think it won an Oscar. It was up for the Oscar for best animated. But anyway, like, these are amazing art books that normally are like $80 that you're getting for $5, like hardcover bound volumes that are gorgeous. So check them out, man. Check your local dollar store. You never know what you'll find.
Check out the art and making of X-Men the animated series.
Yes, 100%. That was the book. So anyway, the book that I was going to suggest is one of those dollar store books that I got. But this is a cool little story. It originally came out in Batman Legend of the Dark Knight way back when. I believe it's written by Alan Grant, I think, because Denny O'Neil, who's a very famous Batman writer.
Oh, yeah, Denny O'Neil. Yeah.
But this story is called Venom, in which it's a precursor to Bane and the Venom drug.
Is it about Bane?
No, actually, Bane's not in this. This is before Bane entered the comics. This is long before Batman got his back broken, which is when Bane showed up. But this is basically the precursor for it. And I don't believe the drug itself is called Venom in the story. So, but I think they do connect this story to Bane and all that sort of stuff. So basically, Batman, and I had the first issue of this as a kid. Just the first issue. And I read it a lot, but I never knew what happened because I never had the other issues. I'm not sure where I got that one. Someone must have given it to me or whatever. But basically, Batman, a little girl gets kidnapped. Batman tries to save her. She's in a cavern filling with water. He's trying to get rocks out of the way so he can reach her. It's like underground. There's an explosion. The kidnappers set one off. They're trying to stop him. He can't get the rocks out of the way and basically watches this girl drown. And there's even a page of her underwater, dead. And he's so, like, you can see her there. So, and Batman is so tormented by the idea that he wasn't strong enough to save her. He basically apologizes to her father, who is the scientist who is working on this drug that can make you stronger, faster, and in less tolerable pain. So he decides, basically, this is Batman becomes a drug addict, is the storyline, where he decides to take this drug to make himself a better crime fighter, but becomes dependent on it. And this scientist is trying to use Batman's addiction to his own ends, to use him to become, the same way anybody gets someone addicted to drugs, to make him dependent on them. But then Batman, of course, breaks free of it and goes on to stop this scientist and his cronies. And the reason his daughter was kidnapped was because these other guys are trying to get this drug as well. So it's very interesting. I mean, it's not a perfect writing. I wouldn't call it perfect writing, but for the storytelling of the time period it came out, which would have been in the 80s, I believe. And the art's beautiful. Look at that Batman picture. Yeah, gorgeous stuff. Check it out. If you can, like, I've gotten probably 20, 30 of these hardcover volumes for like $4 or $5 each at the dollar store. I've actually read one recently too, which was the Superboy Prime versus like the Legion of Superheroes one that came out during the Infinite Crisis stuff, which is pretty fun. So by Jeff Johns. So yeah, check it out. Batman and Venom. Very good story. And classic fun Batman stuff. Hairy-chested Batman. That's what I like. Denny O'Neil, hairy-chested Batman, fighting Ra's al Ghul in a sword fight. That's the kind of Batman I want.
Yeah. I like to think that there's a universe out there where the Ant-Man MCU trilogy was like one Hank Pym movie, one Scott Lang movie, and the third one is Eric O'Grady.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That's the universe I want to live in.
Well, maybe Kang made it. He's out there.
That's a good.
He's not
point.
pruning the
Yeah,
timeline
yeah.
anymore. He seems to be all over it. So
Shh. Get on it. Get on it,
rumor
Kang.
has it that Immortus is going to be the villain in the next season of Moon Knight. So
No, Ramatut.
Ramatut, sorry, not Immortus. Immortus is the one who seems.
I'm
to be
all
kind
for
of
that. Like someone shows up like Strange or even another version of Kang. It's just like we have to send you back to the past to Egypt. Like watching Moon Knight run around ancient Egypt. Like, oh, I would be all over that.
Well,
I love Moon Knight, that show. Like,
I dug it a lot too.
Favorites.
I was disappointed that he didn't make an appearance in Werewolf by Night, but I was happy because that's where he first appeared. But
Werewolf by Night was really short. Maybe that was its charm because it was kind of really tightly and nicely done. But
yeah, I
would have gone for another half hour of that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm listening to your podcast, and I'm on the Christmas episode right now. I'm just getting to Tokyo Godfathers, but the one you guys did in the Werewolf by Night was fun. I really dug that. I thought it was a bold choice to make him look more like the original Wolfman, where there's like a guy in a suit instead of just going full CGI. I thought it was interesting they went that right way because they pretty much go full CGI and everything. But I thought it was cool and kind of like they treaded a fine line between classic horror and modern superhero storytelling that I thought was neat.
So if you've made it to Tokyo Godfathers, then you're joining me in the No Murphys Club.
Oh, I haven't got to the end of that yet. You're literally just wrapping up Gremlins. So I'm frankly Murphy, if you're listening, you're way off the mark on Gremlins. I'm sorry.
Yeah, way off.
I do agree that I might like Gremlins 2 more than 1, but that's not because it's a better movie. It's just because it's a super fun movie. But I do love them both greatly. But Davan, you got to break out of your nostalgia shell. You gotta be more open to newer things.
You got to stop churning out such generic garbage. Like I don't want to have to watch. Things.
It's not all generic garbage. It's like if you're only watching mainstream stuff, then yes, sure. But there's mountains of stuff on streaming, low budget stuff. That's where the gold is. Go look for that.
I'm looking for the gold. Point me into the gold.
I can suggest. That's why I told you to let me suggest your third movie for this thing. And I don't know if I have time to do anything else with it because I would like to. But at least I can give you a relevant movie that you two probably haven't seen that will fit into your theme, which I think you guys need at least one. So you're not doing one that's like fucking I Heard Huckabees on environmentalism episode.
Oh my God.
Or Tokyo Godfathers on a Christmas episode.
That's Murphy's pick too. Murphy's picks are obscure, man. You're talking about
let me pick one. Okay, you pick one that's super old. He picks one that's super new and not really relevant. Let me pick something in the middle that actually is relevant, and then I think you'll have a good mix. Let me do it. I need to suggest something. I'm listening to these episodes and like, God damn it, why do you do this movie? It'd be perfect.
Go on the show.
Because I don't want to be another screaming voice. All you do is scream at each other. You
love it.
I mean, I like it. It's fun. It's too long, but it's fun.
It is long. We're getting her down to 2 hours, so trust me.
You've been saying that since the start of the show. I'm on episode, I think, 4 or 5, and you've been saying it's episode 1. You're like, we're going to get this under 2 hours. Then every episode, you're like, we're at 2 hours, Murphy, and you're like halfway through, like, the second one.
We were making good time last episode, and then I happened to mention to Murphy that I didn't like Breaking Bad, and he yelled at me for like a half an hour.
Oh, well, you're wrong on that one. I have to side with Murphy. That's a fantastic show. As far as breaking down character studies go, that and Better Call Saul are both fantastic shows.
I agree with Jaemeel that his motivations make no sense.
Who, Walter White's?
Yeah.
Well, okay, what's Jaemeel? I don't want to get into the deep thing.
You listen to this show. I don't
want to get into a deep argument about this because it's not relevant to this show. But what was it? Do you remember what his thing was?
I don't know. I got to stop there because I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Well,
but I think
I disagree with Jaemeel. The show's peppered with flashbacks of like his about how he was almost somebody big with these other people and then wasn't because they went off without him because he went a different route. So like he always wanted to be somebody, he just never was, and this is his way to do it.
Sell drugs.
This is the way I describe that show. So Breaking Bad is about a guy who probably was already partially a sociopath, fully coming into his own. Breaking Bad is about a guy who actually Better Call Saul is about a guy who actually was trying to do right and then slowly making decisions that led him towards being bad. But Breaking Bad, it's almost like the flex. The whole series is like the pieces chip away about who he really is, and that's the crescendo of the series is when he accepts who he really is and what he always was, but couldn't accept until he lost everything because of what he became.
I see. Yeah, I see.
All right, that's enough. Anyway, what are we doing? My remote.
Where's your remote taking us?
All right, well, I'm going to suggest two quick things. One, because it's relevant to this. So there's a movie that, okay, I've talked about high art movies before. This is one of them. This is one that you probably haven't heard of, but I would highly suggest. Davan, I think you may like it as well. You may not. I don't know. It's a dark story, but it's called The Cook, the Thief, the Wife, and The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. It's by Peter Greenaway. It came out in the 80s, 70s, I want to say. This Blu-ray is an Australian Blu-ray, but it's region free, so you can play it in your stuff here. It does have roles. Tim Roth's in it, but he's very young. Helen Mirren is in it when she's quite young as well. Michael Gambon, who you may know is the second Dumbledore and the one that was in most of the series, is in it. It's a really dark story that kind of focuses around food and evil. And it's one of the most beautifully filmed movies. The sets are gorgeous. Like, it is an amazing story about a woman who's with a gangster, basically, as his trophy wife, finds love with a local sort of professor guy, and then what happens because of it. But it literally will make you see the worst of humanity and put it right in front of your face and combine that stuff with food, which is very interesting. It's very good. A friend of mine introduced this movie to me and never heard
some
of
the reviews I leave for restaurants. I combine food with the worst of humanity all the time.
That's true.
I find it. I find it.
Peter Greenaway went on to make some interesting movies, but this is probably, I think, one of his, from what I've seen of his output, it's fantastic. So check that out. Another one that I've been watching just on and off is, I was a big fan of this series called In Search of Darkness. They put out 3 Blu-rays. Each one's about 4 to 5 hours long. And basically, it's just a Talking Heads documentary where they bring up some 80s horror movie and then people talk about it. So it's a great way to learn about all of these movies you've probably never heard of. They've done like 3 podcasts. Kind of. They've done 3 volumes of this where in each volume, they probably spend 2 to 5 minutes on each movie. And it's like 5 hours long. So you probably get about 30, 40 movies per volume. And actually probably more than that. But they go over hundreds of movies between all 3 of those volumes. The third one just came out of In Search of Darkness, and it's great. But another series, because it's relevant to today, that they put out as well because of the popularity of those, is In Search of Tomorrow, which is a documentary series that follows same thing. The In Search of Horror was all In Search of Darkness was all 80s horror movies. So the In Search of Tomorrow was all 80s sci-fi movies. So going through this, I'm probably about 45 minutes to an hour in, but it's like 5 hours long. It's 300 minutes, so yeah, it's 5 hours long. So far I've learned. I mean, they do talk about quite a few. I mean, just looking at the cover, you see all the normal ones there. You see Khan, you see Kirk, all those guys. But you learn about quite a few other weird 80s sci-fi movies I've never heard of. So it's a great way to expand your horizons, learn about some of the movies, see little bits of them to pique your interest in doing more and watching more of them. So if you want to expand your sci-fi knowledge from the 80s, this is the movie for you. Sorry, I rambled a lot on that.
Expand your movie knowledge on Hold Up and Movie Podcast.
It's a fun podcast with 2 guys yelling at each other for 3 hours.
Sometimes we get along.
That's very rare.
Turn on our guests. Sometimes we unite in common cause.
This is new. Really taking a nap.
That's quite a garden you've got there.
Oh, we're going back to gardening.
Gardening with Davan is back.
You're not talking about games. You're talking gardening.
Yeah, we're going to go back into gardening.
Let me ask you a quick question, Davan, and we don't need to get too far off on this. But since
is this a gardening-related question?
It is.
Okay.
So, as a record enthusiast and as a fan of electronic music, I recently learned about the album Plantasia. Have you heard of this? So way back in the 70s, I want to say, they put out a LP record by a pretty prominent electronic artist. I can't remember his name right offhand. I'll look it up while I'm talking. But where you basically take the record home and play it for your plants, and it's supposed to help your plants grow. It's actually
plants love classical music. Plants actually they like rap. They like,
but it's one of the most soothing
metal.
because you can get it on Apple Music or any of the streamers. It's just called Plantasia, like Fantasia but with plants. Plantasia, and it is one of the most soothing, calming, pleasant albums I've ever heard. It's awesome.
Check it out.
You would like it. Check it out.
Calming stuff, and I love playing music for my plants.
So when you bought plants from a certain store or couches from Sears in the 70s, you would get this record. They re-released it recently. I'd like to get a copy. I don't have one. Mort Garson was he's a Canadian composer, songwriter, and a pioneer of electronic music. This album, in fact, was one of the first electronic music albums. He's from St. John, New Brunswick.
Huh. How about that? Give me word on your show. So Cacone gardening, Davan. Well, okay, it's that time of year. It's March, spring is just around the corner. And even this advice I'm going to give you here, you could even have taken it a couple weeks ago, really. But, right on time if you don't have a greenhouse outside. And you're in zone 6, much like myself. But now's the time. Start a few seedlings. Start a few things early. Like get some greens going, cold weather crops that you can put outside as soon as the ground thaws. Also, start rosemary. If you're growing rosemary, it grows very slow.
My wife has begun planting our front room where the sun comes in. It's full of little pots full of little seedling plants that she has started growing.
Excellent. And most importantly, if you want to harvest any and you live in a somewhat northern climate, get your peppers going. I mean, really start your peppers in February, but it's not too late. If you're going to wait any later, do it now. Get peppers growing.
Do it now.
They just need a lot of time.
Go get peppers now.
And fun fact, peppers are perennial. You can get a few years out of them. Just cut them back and bring them inside.
Do you have a favorite do you like hot peppers, Davan?
I do. I mean, now the older I get, the less I can handle.
I love hot food. Still do.
But I love it. I love the flavor of it and everything. But Montezuma's revenge. But yeah. But I've got 3 varieties of hot pepper started upstairs. So forward to those.
I would look forward. You know what, Davan? The audience, this is an interesting fact you're going to learn about this show. Davan and I have not actually seen each other in person since we met at a con 10 years ago, Davan.
Oh, yeah.
So we should meet in person sometime soon. And yeah,
share whiskey and cigar.
Well,
your records.
Yeah, I actually recently got a new pipe, so I'm mostly smoking a pipe now instead of cigars. But
and then we can play that X-Men game and make a special segment out of it for the
That'd be fun. That would be fun. Yeah, let's do that.
I thought of another special segment we can do for the X-Goons too, because you were mentioning wanting to get on radio theater. Is you and I could act out an X-Men comic or something, radio theater style.
Dave did ask me to do that radio theater, but it was Saturday night, and I had a gig hosting trivia for a birthday party. He wanted me to be, what's his name? Jerry O'Connell's character.
Ransom,
yeah, which is fun because he's a very full of himself kind of asshole, which I like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we typecast you. Oh,
it's rare in my.
I butchered that whole radio theater with my shitty mic though, so now I'm back to the snowball again. And Murphy's got a new mic for me, so I'll see Murphy in person in a couple weeks.
Get the Yeti, it's great.
Well, Murphy's got something fancy. So.
What's he shipping it to you from Toronto?
No, he's coming home for a little.
Murphy's coming home.
Yeah, for a visit.
Interesting. We should
get together with us for some beers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when is he coming home? Let's do that.
In 2 weeks. He told me a few days ago. So
all right, well, let's go eat somewhere. Let's go meet in Halifax and eat or something.
All right, let's do that.
You have a restaurant you like in Halifax?
Yeah, the Wooden Monkey.
That's all right.
The Dartmouth one's better.
Oh, is it okay? I've only got the Halifax one. I like the.
Oh no, I only go to the Dartmouth one because it's like got the best view in the city because you're right there on the waterfront. In
Oh no,
Dartmouth.
I've gone to that one. It's at Alderney Landing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone to that one. Actually, my favorite place in Halifax is probably the Hop Yard. I really like the food there.
I don't think I've been to the Hop Yard.
They're on Gottingen Street. They're right beside Monster Comedy Lodge.
Oh, I don't think I've been in there yet.
They have one in PEI, but it's like a rotating menu, so the food's always different, but it's good.
I'm up for whatever, man. We'll meet up though. That'll be good. All right. Well, let's play a little game, maybe. One we haven't played in a while here. Yeah, haven't got sued for playing that yet. All right. We are gonna.
Before that happens, I'd just like to reiterate that I'm not affiliated with Davan Skelhorn in any way, shape, or form. He is the sole creator owner of the show, and all legal matters should be directed to him and him only.
Oh, look, I've made you a disclaimer.
He's not to blame for any of this.
Thank you. Please play that during the trial.
Look, it's on camera. I said he wasn't to blame.
I had Storm say it.
Oh no, I'm spilling my cards. All right, here we go. Let's have a little guess the statistics. So, who do we have here? Let's looky. Have we done Apocalypse? Wonder.
Oh, that'd be character with some gravitas.
All right. Strength from 1 to 7.
Oh, 8. No, 1 to 7.
Yeah. Interesting start to this game.
6.
Yep.
Yeah.
Intelligence.
6.
5. Energy projection.
6.
5.
He
You
shoots
think
beams?
very highly of Apocalypse.
I
Mental
like Apocalypse.
powers.
Does he have mental powers? He shape changes. He shoots beams. He's immortal. He's strong. 3.
2 here, but I take a bit of umbrage with that. He actually has telepathic powers. He just
does he? They don't
has
really
so
show
many
much.
powers. He doesn't. He has so many powers. He doesn't use like most of them. But he has pretty much every mutant power. Fighting ability.
5.
2.
He's good at fighting.
Kung Fu. Is he?
Man, it's arbitrary. I guess if you're strong. Yeah,
I don't think strength counts.
But he's been around since the Egyptian era. You mean you can't tell me he didn't learn how to fight or learn different fighting styles for over the centuries?
I guess the thing is, if you're as powerful as Apocalypse, do you ever have to fight anybody?
Question: have they ever done a storyline where Apocalypse has fought Ramatut? That seems like a no-brainer. Like classic Apocalypse. And
there is a connection there that I read about recently. It may have been that Ramatut is the one who first deposed Apocalypse, or vice versa.
Interesting.
They have met. They have met, though. Speed.
2.
Yeah, 2. All right. It's moving on. Not a lot of X-Men villains here. Oh, here's one. Magneto.
Okay.
Have we done him yet? We might be redoing characters in this game, really. I should have wrote them down, but as far as I know, we haven't done Magneto, so let's do it. All right. So, strength.
Magneto?
Yeah.
2.
2. Intelligence.
3.
I think we have done Magneto before. 5.
What?
Well, he can build a space station with his mind.
7. Yeah. Okay. He's
Pretty
not like
good.
but like intelligence isn't his mutant power, nor is it his anyway.
Energy projection.
1.
6.
He doesn't shoot energy. He manipulates metal. That's ridiculous.
He can shoot magnetic blasts. I think they just consider his power energy projection as opposed to a mental power.
Yeah, okay.
They only have the two categories that really cover powers: mental powers and energy projection.
Yeah,
and strength, I guess.
It's dumb. I don't like it.
Doesn't like it. Mental powers.
1.
2.
Okay.
He has mild telepathy, where he has like a higher resistance to it. Fighting ability.
2.
4. He knows kung fu.
All right. So Magneto has a higher fighting ability than Apocalypse.
Yep.
Speed 2.
Yes.
All right.
Hey, look who it is.
Maelstrom? Wow, this character I haven't thought of in a long time.
Isn't that who you were talking about? No, you were talking about no, let's go with Bishop.
Okay.
Very apropos to this episode. This is the last one here. Bishop. All right. Strength for Bishop.
2.
3. He's a little super jacked compared to Magneto.
Okay.
Intelligence.
2.
2.
Yeah.
Energy projection.
So I'm a little hazy on Bishop's powers based on this episode. Does he seems to be able to take the power if somebody shoots him with a beam, he can take it, absorb it, and then shoot it back at them. Okay, correct. So then 5?
No, 2, because I guess they say because it's not his. Like he can't do anything unless you shoot him.
Well, then where's Magneto count? Okay. Anyway,
yeah, I know. I agree with you on some of these being safety, but that's why it's a fun game, I guess. Mental powers.
1?
Yeah, 1.
Okay. Really
fighting ability.
4.
6. He knows all the kung fu.
Jesus. Okay.
Maybe it's because he's also a weapons expert.
So I guess fighting ability is more like your knowledge of fighting abilities. So than actually your ability. Because I don't think Bishop would beat Apocalypse in a fight.
No, he would just look better doing it. Like he would get his ass kicked, but he'd look like he knew what he was doing. But he got his ass kicked.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Speed.
2?
Yeah, 2. And that was another rendition.
He goes jogging.
Yes, the statistics. Everyone's favorite game. Guess
Good game.
Statistics. It is. All right, we got one more segment to do here because there's I think it's new news. At least it seemed to be new to me. Let's party.
Hey, look who I found coming to join the party.
And I missed that old opening.
Glad y'all decided to join the party.
With the rotating figures. Yeah, oh well. Let's party like it's Apostrophe 97. Sounds like, based on what I'm hearing, we're going to get 97 in October.
Nice. It's time for Halloween.
Yeah, because that's when it debuted the first time, on Halloween weekend.
Really? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think they're going to try to correspond with the same sort of...
Maybe we'll include some scary Halloween villains we haven't seen yet, or X-Men villains we haven't seen yet.
Maybe we will. Maybe they'll fight X-Men versus Werewolf by Night.
No. I think, you know what? I think, I'm going to call it right now. Cassandra Nova will be in the new season. I'm guessing. But I think...
I don't think they bring her back unless... at least until
Xavier. She's never been in the series before.
He's gone. Yeah. But
yes, but they'll bring him back. Oh. I think she's an interesting villain. If they have her wipe out Genosha too, just like she did in the comics, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah, Necrosha. That was a crazy storyline. That was the one after that, actually. Yeah.
Or Onslaught.
Yeah. So October. So I did the math, including our one scheduled interview, and even assuming maybe one more.
Do we have another one in the Iron in the Fire? No, you don't even mention names, but I don't think you mentioned anybody else to me.
I know I always have ideas.
You still holding out for Larry Houston? Good luck. You've been
No.
trying. You've been
Well,
you've been
yes,
hunting that.
but
You've been
no.
hunting that. You've been hunting that white whale, Captain Ahab, since the start of this series, and from hell's heart I stabbeth thee.
It's more like the old man in the sea, and I'm just getting like dragged to death. No.
Did you see? I posted a while ago. It was like somebody's Amazon review for the Old Man of the Sea. And it was like, just I don't get it. Why do you just let the fucking fish go?
I know. I saw that same
Like
thing.
some moron, just like I love that the internet is so unregulated that like just any idiot that can read any book can put a stupid opinion on the internet. It's so great.
It's
so
not a stupid opinion. I agree. It's just a fish. Don't let it kill you.
Well, I mean, the fish represents more than just being a fish. It's the guy's
It
youth.
doesn't kill him. He gets it to the shore, and then the sharks eat it. But it was a waste of life. The whole thing.
Not necessarily.
Not a bad book, though. Not a bad book. I liked it. So I did the math, and we have about a month's grace. So assuming a couple interviews or whatever, we should be done around the end of August. So we have a month's grace to take weeks off.
Well, we could take a couple weeks off, yeah.
Do whatever we want.
Yeah. I guess maybe the Spider-Man will have to wait a little while.
It'll have to wait. But they'll have to wait like 10 weeks, I think. There's only 10 episodes of this.
Yeah, I was going to even take a sojourn over to the Silver Surfer cartoon would still be like, 13 episodes or 12? So that'd be, it'd still be a few months.
That could be afterwards, though. We could follow up 97 with Silver Surfer or something, maybe. Or Spider-Man or whatever we're going to do. We'll figure it out for you people. But we'll keep coming back for every season.
What do you mean, you 97. People?
I mean ex-goons.
All right. Nice recovery.
People I love.
Exactly. What about the Inferno storyline from X-Men? We can see that one. That's been a while.
Yeah, that's a good Halloween one. Just demons and everything running amok. That'd be a sweet Halloween storyline. Like they just open the series off with demons everywhere. Anyway, that'd be nothing. And that's a cool Sinister story too. Sinister sets that in motion. And then you get the Goblin Queen, and we know Sinister's back in this series. So yeah,
Mr. S.
I'm all for Inferno. Yeah.
All I need now is for you to contact your students, Professor.
Homework, Professor.
Well, your homework is important. Very important homework. So important that I'm going to have to reload up what I had because I closed it down, forgetting that this segment is even part of the show.
Oh, it's Proteus part 1.
No, don't tell me this. I literally was almost there. Oh, it's Proteus part 1. Another two-parter. We get a lot of two-parters going on here.
Yeah, they've been good. I don't really remember this one a whole lot. I vaguely. I know I've seen it.
Well, we have the Proteus Part 1 and 2, which is, I'm guessing, dealing with Xavier's son, or at least whatever version of the show deals with Xavier's, the version of Proteus. Whether he's Xavier's son or not, I don't know.
Proteus isn't Xavier's son. You're thinking of Legion. Proteus is Moira McTaggart and Kevin McTaggart's son.
Right. I thought he was, for some reason, I thought he was Xavier and Moira's son. Then we get Family Ties, Bloodlines, and then Lotus and Steel, Weapon X Lives videotape, the Morlock Christmas episode, which would have been nice to have at Christmas, and then a bunch of a 4-parter, which deals with more time travel shenanigans that wraps up the season. So,
which they thought was wrapping up the series, really, or at least, and for a lot of them, it does. Like a lot of the people,
kind of a shame when that happens. Although it's also a shame when a show leaves you on a crazy cliffhanger and never comes back to deal with it. So
that's happened to this show twice because that happened in season 1 too.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of nerds like us. All you gotta do is just wait. They're like, well, the kids that like this show will eventually grow into adults with disposable income who will buy Disney Plus subscriptions and watch the show. So let's bring it back. And that's right.
Who has disposable income this day and age?
People without children do.
Have you seen grocery prices? Touche, my friend. All right.
Yeah, grocery prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, they are.
Something has to be done because people are going to fucking riot and cut off heads in town squares.
Yeah. And I think we know the names of a few of those heads that are going to roll. So Get it done. Lower those prices. Support the show at patreon.com/X-Men Review Show.
Give us your disposable income.
Heads are gonna roll here. Contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com. You can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch if you're the twitchy type. Find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts, and please like, review, and subscribe. Tell us how much you love us, because we love you. We are a proud member of these United Federation of Podcasts. Hey, Andre. What's going on over on that side?
Well, episode with Hugh Rookwood just dropped, which is fun. He's a independent artist from Guns. Yeah,
seems like a very cool guy.
Yeah, very upbeat, very cool guy. Also, I'm hoping, I've been advertising, so hopefully it plans out, but I'm working on getting the timeline figured out with Kurgan, Robert Maillet, who so I'm hoping that as long as we get the timeline to work out, that I can have for my next episode. I'm an advertising.
He's a fellow I've seen wrestle in person a few times.
Yeah, me too. I've been on shows with him. But former WWE superstar Kurgan, mostly
in person too. He used to do the local circuits when I was a big wrestler.
Oh yeah, no, he did Real Action Wrestling and Grand Prix back in the day. So led him to WWE, but then he went on after he finished his wrestling career to be in a bunch of movies and a bunch of Del Toro stuff. He was in Pacific Rim. He's in
the guys can get work. It's always been that way, and then it's never.
He's in the movie Becky, which is getting a sequel. He was in Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. one. He's in Pacific Rim. He's in The Strain. He's in Monsters Brawl. He's in a bunch of big stuff. He's big and 300, which was probably one of his most famous roles as the big monster that Leonidas fights there in the.
Part in Sherlock Holmes too. Like that was a pretty big fight scene.
Actually, he had a cool role in The Immortals, which most people never really remember as a movie. It was the Henry Cavill movie before he became Superman, where it was kind of and Mickey Rourke was in it too. It's sort of a modern telling of like the Greek stuff. He played the Minotaur in it. He was quite disturbing in it, but it's a very good movie. Pardon? Yeah, cool movie. Check out The Immortals. Very interesting take on Greek mythology. Beautifully filmed. But I'm just scheduling with him to get that sorted so I can have it in time for a week from Friday, which will be when the episode drops. So
we'll look forward to that one. Ask him if he remembers me from those old local shows.
What made you stand out that he remember you?
He was there.
Do you think I remember everybody that comes to wrestling shows I've been to over the last 16 years?
No, I mean, isn't it your job to make them feel like you do?
No, I was a heel for most of that, so no.
There you go.
Yeah. Even if I wanted to, it'd be hard to remember.
That's like me on some of our other podcasts.
That's
like
true.
Hold Up, a movie podcast. Well, I'm not the heel. Murphy's the heel on that show. I declare.
All right. Well, Stay Tuned is one of my favorite movies. UHF is also one of my favorite movies. Those two are relevant.
UHF yesterday.
Isn't it great? Did you like it? You didn't like it?
Tune in tomorrow to Hold Up.
Oh, you obviously didn't like it. That's disturbing and sad. I showed up my movie night not too long ago, and we had a blast. The audience loved it.
I'm gonna watch Stay Tuned probably tonight. But I've seen it a million times.
The scene where he sags, his girlfriend broke up with him, and he's doing the kid show is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in movies. Come on, you can't tell me you didn't think that was funny. When he's like honk, and then he stands there, the kid's so good. And then
the only time I really chuckled is when like the homeless guy comes up and asks him for change, and he gives him change, and then Buddy gives him the $1 back. He's like, $.
And then later on, he trades in the $1 because it's like a rare penny for like a bunch of money. Use it to say, yeah, it's so good. I think that movie's fantastic. Hey,
tomorrow to Hold Up a Movie podcast.
I spy with my little eye something that is orange. Orange. You give up? It's an orange.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, I love that movie.
Wow.
We don't need no stinking badgers. So good. See, you're laughing. You like the movie. Listen. Open your heart. Open your heart.
I hated the first half an hour more than I ever thought possible. And It surprised me that it got a little bit better after that. But anyway, I don't want to talk about too much now.
Open your heart up. Open your heart.
But,
Love. Let love in.
Super Mater Brothers, they're reviewing Big Brothers and stuff over there right now. And also the Mary Mater Marvel Society. What is the next Marvel movie that comes out or show? Whatever it is, we'll be reviewing it. Geez, yeah, I don't even know what it is.
Next Marvel
anyway,
thing?
Yeah, I don't even know.
The Marvels? Is that it? Oh, no, Secret Invasion is the next show.
Oh, Secret Invasion. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll be reviewing that. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And also, check out Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan over on the Hellbound podcast.
Former guest on my show, Michael Chan.
Yeah, and they've been doing you should have Alex on your podcast. He's
I'd happily have everybody in my podcast.
Yeah. They've been doing interviews over there lately themselves with like some different horror movie directors and actors and stuff, and that's been really good. Check out KVBBL podcast where me and Baker Francis talk about The Simpsons. We just started season 2, so we're getting into it now. It's getting great.
Yes, I've been having fun making all your graphics for you.
There you look.
I'm happy to help, buddy. You're good.
Also, Trivial Debates. They just did one on. Well, Andre might be on the next one. You gonna be on the next Trivial Debates there, Andre?
When is it again?
Wrestling theme? I don't know. It'll be on a Sunday, usually.
Is it April or is it March?
Well, Solomon Gundy debates on a Monday. What?
Well, if it's the 20, is it 26th? Or is it April?
Have to ask Cousin Dave.
All right. Well, tell him to reach out to me again. He said he's going to follow up. So,
there's Murphy. He's going to convince me that UHF holds up. Well,
all right, Murphy, you got to because it's. Well, just remember that I'm on your side on this one, Murphy. So.
Oh, Murphy said it's April 1st.
April 1st. Well, that might be doable.
Thanks for that info there, Murphy.
April 1st is Saturday, so I might not.
Oh yeah, sometimes they've been on Saturday. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, let me check the old shit. Is it in the morning?
They've been both.
All right. Well,
traditionally they were always in the morning, but there's been a couple night ones.
Okay. Well, my first is open right now, so maybe I can make an appearance.
Oh no, 6 p.m. he says.
Oh Jesus. Okay, probably not, but we'll see.
That's 6 p.m. their time, so that's 7 here.
Oh my God, okay. It's ridiculous. On a Saturday night, some of us have lives outside of these things.
Maybe that's why they were in mornings before. Also, check out Live Long and Podcast if you like Star Trek, because we got so much Star Trek content over there, and more on the way. And it's good stuff. We've got cool logos. We'll get some merch going on that eventually. Also, we have the Locutors of Trek, my brand over there, which is little long form takes where we, shine a lens, shine the world's problems through the lens of Star Trek.
No, well, that's good. Star Trek is
very philosophical and
hopeful view of the future. So
honestly, my whole goal, that was my first podcast, Locutors of Trek, and the whole thing was we're trying to kind of navigate a path to that future as best we can. And
let's hope you get there.
Our world, man, we're working on it. We don't do as many episodes as we should with a goal like that, but whatever. Although the Science Division, Command Division, there's all kinds of divisions. There's the Ops Division where we do radio theater. Just did it recently. I butchered it because my mic died. So I'm going to redo all my lines. Don't listen to this live one, even though everyone else's performance were fantastic. The edited version will come out soon enough, and it'll be amazing. Trust me. Everyone did a great job. Jessica's a superstar. Somebody throw money at her to do your cartoon, because just listen to it.
Is that Mike's wife?
Yeah, she's amazing at voice work. She was doing Mariner and Tendi and to Anna, and there were a ton of scenes where it was Mariner talking to Tendi, and she was just going back and forth, and it was it's so natural and fast talking that I couldn't believe she was just reading it off a page. We never practiced any of this, right? So yeah, it was crazy, very impressive. And yeah, that's it. Let's get out of here.
All right, next time.
Yeah, catch it next time, everybody.
Time to go.
Time to go! Time to go! Hurry, hurry, hurry!
1, 2, 3.